Welcome to the Lip Smack podcast. As always, we have Joe and Evan. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube.
Who are you? What's your name?
I'm Nick. I'm Nick.
Who's this guy?
Who is this guy?
You probably can't tell because I have a new mic. But yeah, you can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Please like and subscribe. So a couple weeks ago, I think it's roughly a month at this point, the U.S. Army esports team was catching some flack for banning users for asking about war crimes. And before that, they were also getting in trouble for doing fake prize giveaways. And it would just lead people who would go to it to recruitment pages. And it,
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was leading to people specifically with the ban, to like the bans, leading people to say that they were having their First Amendment rights violated because them using the Twitch and stuff was like a public forum. So there was lawyers getting involved and stuff.
And
yeah, people were asking like about specific war crimes and stuff. And I think one that I saw was, I forget what the name was, but they've been playing Call of Duty Warzone, and there's like you can use pyrite in that, and people were asking about this war crime that involved pyrite, and they were just banning people.
What is pyrite?
It's, I believe it's. I think what I know it from is people use it for like it's like they use it to crack open, not napalm, because napalm is like liquid. Pyrite, I think it's like a dust. I think it's like a dust or something like that. And I think you use it in what's that, Payday, to crack open safes and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's what that is. But yeah, people were asking about that, and I was just curious to see what you guys thought about it, because to me, I think it's just trolls asking the army and stuff. But I can also understand where people are coming from, because it is a government sanctioned, it's a government entity that's doing it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, regular people who use Twitch, like the streamers on there, I mean, they ban certain things.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
About.
Like,
so it's like, like the government's not allowed to do it, but like these people are. It kind of seems weird, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, it definitely is weird from it coming from the government. I definitely agree with that.
Just people asking, though, they ban them? Just because they ask about war crimes?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I bet
it's been memed at this point. Like, one person asked kind of jokingly,
yeah,
and then some other guy was like, "Hey, you never answered. What is it?" And then like a whole subreddit's like,
I think people were spamming it from what I picked up. I'm not exactly sure how badly, but I know that they started banning people because of it. And to me, honestly, what I find more disturbing about it is the fake prize giveaways that just leads people to recruitment pages instead. Because I think the one example I saw is that they were advertising that this prize giveaway was an Xbox One Elite, and it just led them straight to a recruitment page. I think that's just kind of nasty in a way. Yeah, it's actually very nasty.
It's the mind games right there.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
I have no problem with them using the Twitch stream to try to promote them. It's, I think, just
Call of Duty, right?
So Call of Duty, and it's like a guy, some like not a general, but like some guy who's recruiter, some guy our age.
I think it's actually like young kids, because they say it's the esports team. So I wouldn't doubt it's kids from like West Point. I didn't read into that much.
What games does the Army esports team play? Like, is it all military based?
Call of Duty, and maybe
so there's no like Dota. It's like they don't let any Dota players in.
I promise you, I know the Dota scene so well. There is no Army esports team. I can confirm. And I imagine there's not one.
I don't know if it's like an official like Army esports team that would play. I didn't look into that part.
Is it like TSM and like FaZe Clan, which are more of these brands that people are signed to who may?
I think literally what it is just a division of the Army that said we need the, because recruitment for the Army, from what I've heard, is dying down, just not as savvy to people.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
And so they're just using this as a way to, you know, push people to trying to join them.
How good are these recruiters? Because if they're hitting like 360 no scopes,
are you gonna join?
It's gonna get some kids to join.
It's like if you go to boot camp, you'll have reflexes like me. Then...
I think
like some old. I imagine my first like when you were saying this was like some 50-year-old like recruiter. Or like,
no, I think it's kids
and
that
he's just
are
playing
like,
some game. He's like can't play it well. It's like looks like my dad trying to play Call of Duty.
It'd be a disaster.
It just reminds me of you telling me about your dad trying to play. Wasn't it Modern Warfare?
Yeah,
and
he kicked me off. I was playing the campaign, and he's like, "Let me see the controller," and he took it and he played for like 3 hours. He couldn't like he didn't know how to use the 2 joysticks at the same time.
Yeah.
I saw Malia do that, and that was weird.
And
didn't you say that he said, "God, these damn 3D graphics"?
He said something like he said he's walking on the road on the campaign, and the tank's going towards him, and he just does not move out of the way, and the tank runs him over, and he's like, he's just like, this 3D bullshit.
Your dad, if he was our age, he would be such a guy who played video games. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Well, he did play video games. He played like Zelda and stuff. No
way. So he was 30 when that stuff was coming out, right?
He told me
no, he would have been younger.
He missed the whole day of work because he stayed home and played Zelda.
What?
Yeah, because that came out mid 90s, like 95, 96.
Wow, I did not know that. I did not know that about your dad. That changes my perception of how I see him now. Wow.
I mean, I don't think he played that many games, but he still, he dabbled.
Do you guys remember Tyler again? His dad was so decent at Modern Warfare 2, and he would play the shit out of that game. And he was
very decent at that. I do remember that.
Dude, it's funny how they stare at it, and it's just must be a guy thing, and they're like, I can see how that can be enjoyable.
Yeah, I try not to stray too off topic though with this. Do you guys have any thoughts on this about the Army banning people? Do you think it's justified?
I mean, if it's in the Twitch code of conduct that they can do it, and it's about war crimes too, which I can understand being a sensitive topic. Even if it's a little weird that it's a government thing, I think that they should be allowed. And no one should be that weird about it. I think if you just take a couple seconds to think,
they took a break from they took a break for a little bit, and then I just read right before we started this, and these articles are from a couple of days ago, is that they're unbanning the people, and they're going to start streaming here soon. There is no date as to when they're going to stream. But they're unbanning people, and they're gonna put out a new code of conduct to follow, and it's just pretty much don't personally harass people, don't put any pornographic images, just pretty much be nice is what it is. They didn't say anything about not asking about war crimes, but they also did say can you stop asking about war crimes, please?
How hard would it be to just you had to commit a war crime, or if you did, would you
It's
I'm trying to think of the kinds of war crimes.
It's happening all the time. I talked to somebody that I worked with who was in the Army, and he said the stuff that happens is insane.
I believe
it's just there are things that you have to do in order to survive and try to get things. It's life or death out there. It's It's insane.
I can also see it where it's like one guy just kind of like goes a little too far.
Yeah.
And what do? You kind of protect him because he's part of he's part of your troop.
Yeah.
That's kind of It's like the same thing with like, I guess the same way the cops think, if a cop messes up, you want to protect him because he's kind of your brother.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like there's that union.
Yeah. In a way that makes total sense, I think.
But like you'd have to carry that guilt just because of that. And now you're streaming and some kids bringing it up.
I don't think any of those people personally committed war crimes. I don't know. I don't know anything about the esports team, like the people personally. I think it's people roughly our age though. That would make sense because I did see like a short stream of it, and I forget what the guy said because it was, I think it was right after somebody asked somebody specifically about it. And I forget what he said. He's like, "You guys are trolls." And
did they actively recruit during these streams? Like,
I don't know if it's like active.
Are they telling you the benefits and stuff?
I think from what I read is that they will be upfront and honest about what it's like, and say, what we're playing is a romanticized version of what war is. Like, it is a lot scarier. Like, it's not what you're seeing here.
More boring too.
Yeah.
Like most of war is probably just like sitting around waiting.
I know
the
Army has an esports team, the Air Force has an esports team, and the Navy has an esports team. And the Marines chose, like, they don't have one, and they actually have a quote from them saying that, where is it? They pretty much just said that we don't want to play this because it is not a accurate representation of what these people will be going through, and it's just not them, and that they don't want to recruit people based off of that. Yeah, the Marines do not have a team, in part to the belief that the brand and issues associated with combat are too serious to be gamified in a responsible manner.
Yeah, I just feel like it's not a big deal that they're banning people.
The banning people for it, I definitely think it's trolls. It's very much trolls, and like, I really don't care about it because there are people that definitely get banned for being trolls. So I don't get why the Army can't do it. It definitely is weird that it's a government entity doing it, but it's the same thing. I know. What do you think about the recruiting? Do you think it's okay that they're recruiting?
I mean,
they have to.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're giving a giveaway, I bet you
to me, the giveaway is the nasty part. They shouldn't be like.
It makes sense though. Like, why would the Army have a Twitch channel though? Like, the only reason they would have a Twitch channel is to recruit. Like, to be
for them. It's just another avenue for them to try to get somebody.
So I feel like if you're gonna go on their stream and watch their stuff, and you click a giveaway and you see recruitment, I don't know. I feel like you can't be that surprised.
Yeah.
That's like the whole point.
Do you guys ever get that? Do you guys ever like when? Because we all played Call of Duty and like Battlefield. Did you ever feel like you wanted to join the military at any point when you were a kid, when you're like impressionable and you're playing these games?
Not because of the games, but
yeah, there was a point where I was kind of into the Army. I don't know if you remember this, Evan, that my bedroom had the camouflage theme to it.
Yeah,
and I had that camouflage wallpaper, and then I grew out of that very quickly. And when I played the games, I had no desire to be in the Army.
I was actually pretty like gung ho. I was like, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm definitely doing it. And
I can see his Army going.
You get older, I think I have the mentality, like I could definitely get through it, like all the training. And I definitely
think I can do the training and stuff. Yeah, I definitely think I can deal with the training. Go ahead.
But just learning, like as you get older, you're just like, well, that war's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I'd be willing to go fight in a world war where there's like Hitler too. Right?
Like, there's like an obvious enemy.
It's just that doesn't happen, especially now.
you're like trying to form city states in the Middle East to try to, labor peace. And that's so complicated. And
You
it's
just fuck it up.
What could have you been doing and said?
Yeah.
Could you have been going in college, finding a girlfriend, having a cool job, doing fun things?
It's like, you guys ever see Jarhead?
Yeah.
I love that movie because it's so different from any other horror movie. It's just like, it just like shows all these guys' wives and girlfriends just cheating on them and stuff, and they have like a board up, like if they find out their girlfriend cheated on them, they like post a picture on the board.
Jesus, man.
It must happen, it's like,
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, a woman's a woman. If she's like all of these suitors at home who are, especially if they're like nice, they'll protect her. Why the fuck would she just like be doing her own thing? Doesn't make any sense. For some guy, she like hung out probably for like 4 months.
Yeah, but what about if they're married?
I don't know, man. People don't care about marriage anymore. So to me, it's just like fancy dating at this point.
Yeah, man. Marriage is just a construct.
I'm sure that's how most people feel about it. So, but we all know my saltiness with it.
All right. So, Evan, you have something that you wanted to talk about this week?
Well, I know you guys are into sports.
Yep. Love it.
And I love sports, but I don't follow them nearly as much as you guys do.
You love sports in a way that makes way more sense than the way I love sports.
Yeah, you.
How's that?
You love one specific sport.
No, I love.
You participate.
Sports. Yeah, I love to participate, and the sport I participate in the most is lacrosse, and that's the one I enjoy watching the most because of that. And I just want to bring up the I guess what I see, my opinion is that lacrosse is the best sport, and obviously it's not the most popular.
All right, you should have some context about your experiences with lacrosse, because I think that would help frame like your knowledge.
My personal experience, I've played since I think I was in 5th grade when I started, and I played all the way through college.
So you played in college?
Yeah, and now I'm coaching. I coached middle school, and now I'm coaching high school level.
So if someone wanted to talk to you about lacrosse, you could hold your own very well.
Yes, I guess so. This sounds like a setup. Like you're about.
If he's a coach, he better.
What I'm just saying is, because like I got some shit to throw at you for sure. Like, you are coming from a place of like vast experience of lacrosse that I definitely don't have, and I assume that Nick doesn't have. So we're gonna have this like weird sort of argument, So why do you think lacrosse is better? Why do you think it's the best?
Because there's just things that I think anyone could appreciate about sports, like football. I think the number one draw of football is the contact. And a lot of people love the contact. And hockey, similar. Like, there's a lot of contact in hockey. And then there's other aspects. Like, what makes hockey great is there's so much transition play. It's like, it's always moving. The game's always moving. One team has the puck, and the other team has the puck. That's like one draw of soccer as well. That's constantly going. And then you get to games like basketball. There's rarely any contact. There might be some contact. But the draw on that is it's high scoring, and there's a lot of transition and just a lot of offense.
Yeah, now with basketball. Back in the day, there was actual defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some contact, but
there is. In the playoffs is when all the defenses really happens for NBA now.
My argument is just that I think lacrosse has the best balance of all those aspects of sports.
All right, let me make an argument about football 100% being
okay. So
in terms of
on the side that you're on the side that football is the best sport.
Now this is coming fully from viewership, not participating. Okay, because I definitely don't play football, so I can't say anything to that. But I think the beauty of football, and yes, there's like extreme contact for sure, but I think the best part of it is that the quarterback is this shining light that we all get to stare at, and it's really the whole game is about him. And I think that the whole offense and the whole defense is built around this one person. and there's always a chance of something spectacular like happening with this one person. I think that the fact that we can focus so much on an individual thing and everything surrounding that individual, it's so easy to watch and organize in your head. I think that's like what makes football so fun to watch.
Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more actual intelligence to that.
Oh.
So I think what makes football really, really good is that it's very much like a chess match. And the fact that there is specific coverages that, like in the defense, that will counter specific routes and like just schemes that offense will do. And every time a play ends, you immediately have to each coordinator on each side immediately has to think, what is that team going to most likely do the next time, based on the statistics of what they do on these given downs, like in these certain types of situations, on like third and long situations, do they tend to do more screens, or do they tend to just air it out and send people downfield? Like there's a whole bunch of chess match that happens in between every play, and it's just a lot of intelligence that has to be thrown into it. And not saying that other sports don't do that, it's way more on the fly, and I think it puts way more on the individuals to do things within those sports, like basketball, in lacrosse and all that.
When you say the individuals that make those choices, you're talking about the coaches.
In football, yes. And not saying that football players don't make individual choices within that, because there is a lot of intelligence that go into that. But I feel like the coaches in football and stuff, and the chess match that happens within the game itself, is what makes it super, super good.
So, I mean, just to make my point clear, I love watching like football and basketball. I don't really like watching baseball, but I still root for the Indians. But there's something that Bill Belichick said, and I 100%
because he's a lacrosse guy.
He's a lacrosse guy, but something he said about football, he said it's a player's sport. And I 100% disagree with that, because what you just said is what I think of football is where it's the coaches playing chess.
Yeah, because you like to think
of lacrosse player. When I'm thinking of it, when I play lacrosse, that is a player sport. The coaches prepare you. They set up the schemes. They set up the offense. Set up the defense.
Okay,
but it's almost like giving you the green light. But it's giving you the green light. It's like, this is our offense. We need to run like our offense like as well as we can to beat this team. And the players decide that on the field. It's not a stop and go. It's like you could have a quarterback.
Yeah, they're making their own decisions.
There's still a hierarchy on the field. It might not be as obvious to a casual viewer.
In lacrosse, is a coach saying, like, they obviously have to give them the players like, hey, this is what I want to go on because this is what I'm seeing. But then within that, there's individual like decision making, obviously, right?
Yes, and it's because it's constantly going. Like, you can't coach, you can't treat it like a football game, because once a play's over, the coach could look at it and like, oh, they moved the pawn here. I want to, now what's my next move? You just can't do that unless there's a score or there's a timeout or something.
Very true. I mean, that's one of the things that I do like about basketball, is I feel like, it's in the players, like LeBron is making the decisions for the team, or Kawhi Leonard is making the decisions for the team.
I definitely agree that with sports, I'm not exactly sure with lacrosse. I'm sure you can probably tell me right after I say this, but like sports like basketball and stuff, and sports that have constant movement, a single player can always set a team over the edge. And that's what will do it. Especially like NBA and basketball in specific is what I think about. So I think like
basketball is the most like that. Like one player could just change the tides.
Well, there's like, to me, it's NCAA that really, really shines with this, is that one player on a team can make that college go super far in one season, especially in the NCAA tournament. Like Steph did it when he was on Davidson. I think took him to the Elite Eight is what it was. I forget, but I'm not. Does it work the same with lacrosse?
I mean, you definitely have teams that have like the all-star, but I think it's just more of a team sport. Like you might have the all-star, but everyone else has to be competent.
And that's why I think it falls so short of a viewership thing, because it's so team oriented that I feel like you don't have, I don't know like how many massive
football
stars you can watch.
Football is the most team oriented game, Joe. I want to say that.
I mean, I feel like a lot of football is up to the head coach and the quarterback, and then it's like a lot of pieces being plugged in together. And, like,
okay,
working.
So what was it, 2015 with the Broncos when Peyton Manning was absolute garbage that year?
Oh, and they made it to
what
the Super
about
Bowl?
what about and won it? What about Trent Dilfer with the Ravens?
Like, you're naming these very outlier examples. I'm like saying consistently, like it's the head coach and the quarterback who are making the Super Bowl. It's like Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, like 9 times. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. Like for the vast majority of the like playoffs and great teams, I would say 90% of them are great coaches with great quarterbacks. Now you have the rare occasion, like Seattle, for example, where defense is just so good that it makes zero sense.
That's not so much the case anymore.
But I just think that for the vast majority of cases, it's great coach, great quarterback. And I feel like with lacrosse, it's so team oriented. It's such like a passing sort of sport. Like I feel like no sport, maybe even soccer, but I don't even know, passes as much. Maybe hockey. And I feel like that can be so infuriating to a viewer, constantly changing hands. I feel like that can get frustrating for like a casual viewer because they have a hard time keeping track of what's going on.
I mean, that's the NBA though, too.
The thing with the NBA though is that I think it's amazing, one, that they're in jerseys and they have no helmets or pads, so you can see them all. And the athletic plays that they make are very easily seen as athletic. Like, for example, like I rock climb and I watch pro rock climbers. And I will watch them do shit that like makes my mouth like fall open. But if someone else was seeing that, they're like, man, they're like really holding tight. I'm like, you do not understand what is going in. But with like basketball, for example, I think people can like easily see a guy who's like 6'5", just like
I
dunking over
definitely
somebody.
think that for sports wise, basketball has some of the most athletic people.
Well, I mean, obviously the most athletic are drawn to basketball, football, and baseball because that's what pays the most.
I wouldn't say baseball. There's a lot of fat people in baseball.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of athletes in baseball because they get paid a fuck ton. Like if you're good at baseball and they're willing to pay you money,
baseball contracts are fucking insane.
Yeah,
they're so big.
But with like one thing, I guess the main argument with lacrosse is there's so many aspects to it. Like it has the endurance, it has the athleticism, it has the contact, and it has high scoring games.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up.
It has creativity. Like,
but what's different about it? Like, what sets it apart, though? You know, there's so many sports that have those things you listed.
What sports? What sports has all of those?
I would say soccer.
Soccer's not high scoring.
Okay. I'm gonna bring up a very underrated sport, wrestling.
I agree. That's just very underrated.
Wrestling is probably one of the hardest sports to do. It takes like some of the most skill and most like discipline to do. You're moving somebody that is your own body weight for up to 6 minutes, unless if you pin them.
Using your whole body, by the way.
Using your whole body, and like it takes some of the most endurance ever to do. It's insane because I used to wrestle. It's insane like how tired you will be after a 6-minute match of just moving somebody.
And they're trying to move you too.
Yeah, and they're trying to move you too. It's insane. And just like some of the technicality to it. When you watch like the heavyweights wrestle, it looks very clumsy in a way, but there's still a lot of like learning how to use body weight with heavyweights. But I actually implore you guys to watch some of the like lighter weight people, especially those like people that are in the 170-pound ranges and stuff, to wrestle, because the athleticism that happens within that is insane.
But no one watches it.
Nobody watches it, no.
Yeah. I just feel like
it's saddening.
I don't think lacrosse would ever be as popular as like the NFL
Probably
or
not,
basketball.
No.
But there are, I think it can grow an audience because
it is growing actually.
For one thing that audiences love is offense. Like,
very true.
They love scoring, and when you watch lacrosse, you have a team that could score because they're just functionally a good team. They pass the ball a lot and they get the best shot. You also have teams that have a guy, like maybe a guy or two, are just really good at working together and setting picks, and or one guy drives the goal and scores. Then you have teams that just throw like 3 behind the backs or shoot between their legs, or just do all this creative shit where it's like you see that, agree. And even if you're not a fan of lacrosse, you're like, that was insane. You know it. You don't know what he did, but you know it was crazy.
Yeah, I definitely agree that I can watch highlights and be like, wow, that's fucking insane. So, to me, it's the same thing with soccer. It's where I might not like the game, but I can enjoy the highlights a fuck ton, because watching somebody do a bicycle kick and scoring a goal, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I want to do that. That's fucking insane, and soccer's awesome. And then I watch an actual soccer match and realize how much it is. Just people running up and down a field with nothing happening.
Is there like, what are the finals? You know, like the World Championships or whatever. Like, what is that called?
Are you talking about like professional?
FIFA? No, it's like for lacrosse.
Professionally?
Like professional, like the is it one professional league, or there are multiple?
There's 2. Well, technically there's 3 professional leagues, because there's indoor lacrosse, which is kind of like more like a hockey style. But I was focusing more on field lacrosse. But there's one league called the MLL, and that is it was really poorly ran, and it's just a really bad league. And a player and his brother left the MLL and started their own called the PLL, and they just did their 2nd season this year. And how they're doing it, since it's a new league, they started with 6 clubs, so 6 teams, and the teams they don't even have cities yet. It's more like all the teams travel to a city, and they kind of play like they play like 3 games. They play about 3 games. And it's more like if you buy tickets, you get to watch 3 lacrosse games that weekend. And
so is there like a championship at the end of this?
Yes, and there's playoffs.
Yes, we actually watched the championship to that league today.
Yeah. And
I think what were you gonna say?
So yeah, it's just eventually since there's only that many teams. Last year, how they did it, they only had 4 teams go in the playoffs. And this year, they added a new team, so there's 7 teams. But because of coronavirus, they were pretty much going to lose their season. So what they did instead is they got everyone tested and made sure everyone was like good, and they quarantined everyone for like 2 weeks, and they all sent them down to this facility. I forget what state it is. It's somewhere in the mountains. On Mountain Time.
I think you said Utah.
Is it Utah?
I think Liam said Utah.
And for 2 weeks, there's been a game of lacrosse almost every day, and they just crammed in 20 games in 2 weeks. And that's I mean, it's not the best case, but it's a good. It was pretty good. It's actually pretty entertaining as a lacrosse fan to watch. Like, that's all I did these last 2 weeks is watch lacrosse.
Yeah. So, I feel like that would be important for it to grow, or like their final is like a hype event. So, for example, I think the reason that Dota grew so much in the beginning is they had this huge tournament called the International, where there's like a prize pool with a ridiculous amount of money. And I feel like just by like saying a ton of money, or like adding like a ton of flair to it, it gets people interested. And I feel like that could be one of the ways
that would be kind of cool.
The winner of this tournament gets a ton of money.
If like lacrosse, if they were like winner of this tournament, like team gets to split like 10 mil.
They get this briefcase that is.
That's just like really focused. Like, there's no way they can do 10 mil right now.
No, but like it's like you have to do some number, or something. I feel.
They get a briefcase with a ton of money.
Right now, I think they're focusing on just slowly growing it and adding more teams I think they want to add a team every year. I just don't know if they can because of the pandemic going on.
They might have to not do it this year for sure. They probably,
but they might. They still might, because they're 7. If they get 8, and there's also a chance that they absorb the MLL. If they do that, that could be another they could double their amount of teams they have.
Oh, and that would be huge too,
Yeah.
because you'd probably take on they'd probably take on a lot of fans from that.
Well, most of the fans enjoy the PLL anyways.
Yeah,
it's just so much. It's just such a better league.
Yeah. Alrighty, Joe, you had a topic that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. So, I'm like obsessed with like stories and stuff. So I like read and watch like a bunch of like entertainment media, and I feel like I go through these like phases where I like certain things or not. But like some stories like throughout my life it's just stuck with me. Like my favorite movie of all time is Fight Club, and it's like never changed since I've seen it, and it hasn't even come close. And I just like, it's something about like the attitude of the story or like the way that I'm in there. Like Portal, for example, where there's like no story, but I'm in like this huge like factory, and everything's mysterious. I'm just like taken in by it. It's like sometimes I don't even know if like the story is relevant, and it's almost just like the setting, like where you're at.
I'm not gonna lie. I think when I played Portal 2, it was the most like satisfying ending to a game I've ever had.
Oh, with the moon at the end?
Like the spoilers alert. Spoiler for Portal 2.
I've never played Portal, so
it's insane.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
But just that whole ending, and then how Gladys like has that little opera with the turrets. It's like for some reason I'm just like, it made me feel so good. Like no video game ever made me feel that way.
And
I feel special.
I think that game that's like my favorite video game of all time. I mean, if we're not talking about Dota and shit, it's like, and like other stories and like movies as well. They have like this thing where just like the whole world itself is perfect. And like, I don't know what that is. And I feel like sometimes people who like make that shit don't even know what's going on. They're just like doing what they think is right in their head.
Yeah. I have a lot of experiences with playing like open world games. Like kind of how I design my character. Like it sticks with me now. Like I did some weird shit. Like I was always a good guy. And it's kind of weird because it's like you're playing a video game. Like I don't think it means if you're killing innocent people in a video game that you're actually an evil person. But whenever it came to it, I was always like trying to be like such a good hero. Even Modern Warfare 2, do you remember the mission where you had to maul down innocent civilians in an airport?
Oh yeah, No Russian.
I did that. When I did that mission, I didn't shoot a single civilian.
No way, really?
I didn't. I was just like,
dude, I get so into
it. I was like, I wouldn't do this. I shot those security guards and the cops because they would shoot at me.
So when you play like The Witcher, for example, you're just like totally good the whole time, as best as you can be.
For the most part, The Witcher is interesting because like that has like way more realism to it in a sense where it's like
blur the lines.
Everything's kind of fucked up, It's really hard to be a good guy in The Witcher.
Yeah, I blurred the lines a lot. I never played The Witcher.
I guess I'm talking about more when I was kind of younger.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't like exist as much.
But games like Oblivion and Fallout, I'd always be such a good guy. I just sound like a fucking dork. But
dude, you do. But
it's like what I did.
But it's like something about those worlds that they're like comfortable to be in.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is. I remember like when I started playing Dark Souls, and I was like so upset because I was like, this is what I'm gonna be in this like for this amount of time. This like dark world. Like I'm gonna be so depressed every time I'm done with this shit. And now I'm like, dude, like give me the monster, Just like accepted it.
So
like
Joe,
you got some good stories that you're like obsessed with?
I don't know. I feel like I'm like a caveman in a way with this stuff. Like I like simplicity, but I also like things that like really set moods. In like I feel like things like Full Metal Alchemist have touched me because like there is like a nice solid dark mood to it with like
it's
a with a lightheartedness to it because of like the always like stick with your brother and stuff like that sibling bond and all that and like all the happy things that do happen with that. But I do love that darkness that it brings. I've been trying to be way better at dissecting stories and stuff. I just feel like my ADHD doesn't do well with that at points because I just want to immediately go on to the next thing. So I really enjoy simplicity. So like John Wick is one of my favorite movies of all time just because of how simple it is, but how well done it is.
John Wick was a movie, like, I remember seeing the trailers and thinking, like, it's just another action movie, which it was, but I just thought I thought it would be bad.
It was so well done. The action to it.
My dad and brother saw it, and they're just like, that movie was fucking awesome. Like, it was insane. And I was like, there's no way. Like, I didn't believe them. And I watched it, and it's just like everyone knew it was like, oh, it's because someone killed his dog, so he started killing people. But they set it up so well, whereas like I just enjoyed the movie, and it didn't take itself too seriously, but it also made sense why he killed all these people.
And it just went all the way. It just like stayed so true to what it was trying to do. There was no like romance in the background distracting me.
No, to me it was super simple. It knew what it wanted to be, and it did it. And I very much enjoy that. That's it. I don't know. Like I feel like there's a lot of movies where things just go over my head, and I focus on very specific things that relate to me, and that's just like how I see the world a lot. Like I do that a lot with music. I do that a lot like with movies and stuff. So I feel like I can be very stupid and naive with it.
Do you ever have someone tell you, like, if you listen to a song, you might like a song because you have a connection to it, like you have some meaning to that song, and then someone tells you, well, do you know the song's actually about this? And you're just like, yeah, no, it's not to me, you know? I'd rather it mean this because this is why I enjoy it.
I'm trying to think. I've definitely had that, but I can't think of a specific song.
It's like, what are you trying to accomplish there, right? It's like what are you trying to tell this person?
I don't know if I'm saying this. I don't know if I'm using this expression right, but it's like, if the shoe fits, wear it. Like,
yeah.
I think it's the glove fits, right? Or is it the shoe fits?
I have no idea.
It's not, you talking about like Cinderella?
I don't know where it came from, but if it fucking fits, just wear it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. As a person that loves music, I appreciate somebody telling me what the song is actually about. But I will always, like, if somebody tells me a song is about something that I didn't see it for, I would still always think of like what I saw it for first. Because obviously that's what came first to mind, is that I heard this lyric and I said, oh, like that kind of relates to me. I don't know.
Joe, do you remember the game Braid?
Yes.
So Braid, I don't know if you ever played that, Nick, but it's a platformer.
I played it a little.
It's a platformer game, and the stick is, you have time, you control time. So you do a puzzle, and then you can reverse time at any time, but there's some objects that don't interact with time. So like you might open the gate, reverse time, and the gate will still be open. And it just sticks with that, and adds a few more elements, and it's a very simple, like, it just sticks to the time travel aspect of the game, and you're just saving this princess. At the very end, you realize you're the bad guy, and you're trying to capture the princess, and it just kind of flipped this whole time thing where it's like, it just stuck to its story, it stuck to its stick, and that I still think about that game till this day. It's just so simple, and it's like, oh, I'm the bad guy, and they also tied the time travel into the story. Because there's almost like the whole story was in reverse.
Have you ever played the game he made after that? The guy who made Braid?
Like I have no idea. Yeah, the Witness?
It's It's a really famous game. I play.
Oh yeah, yeah. He made that.
Is that the
guy who made
Braid
by himself? Yeah, he
okay.
founded a studio, and this was the first game. And that game, it's like these line puzzles, like you play on an iPad.
Yeah,
but it's the most ridiculous. Like the way he uses the environment for these line puzzles will like blow you away. And it's the guy. I think the guy who like makes those like Braid and The Witness. He just like knows there's like this thing about video games he has intuitively that he like turns it on its head a little bit, like your expectations, and I feel like it clicks well.
I think I get drawn to like things that have a clear and simple premise, and it's done very well.
That's how you feel about Counter-Strike as well. I feel
Counter-Strike is like a romantic game to me, dude. Like it's so simple,
the same way.
And I think
it's
just
beautiful.
how I think it's because like how I want to live my life. Like I want to be a minimalist, you know, and I like having my life simple and structured. It doesn't mean like I think people mix up the word simple with easy, but like I like having a schedule where I work out every day, and it's just simple, and it makes me happier. I do this every day, and I do this every day, and I like games and music that just have this simple, like key element to it, and it's just done super well.
I think people underestimate how hard it is to do simplicity, because the art of simplicity is giving just enough. And like if you give too little, it's just impoverished of anything that is worthwhile.
It's almost like you're trimming the fat. It's like if something's over complex, it's just there's just too much, and
that's exactly what it is.
It's a waste of time almost.
It makes me think of Dave Grohl, who is the drummer of Nirvana, and he is the singer and guitarist for Foo Fighters, to where all of his bandmates are like, one of the things that we really appreciate about him is that we will make something and he's really good at trimming the fat with it and making it very much about like these certain elements. And I think that it's very important to do that, because if you try to make something this giant convoluted idea, it's just not gonna mesh well with people.
We did it. We got through all 3 topics just in time.
Yeah, Ed, with the new structure, I actually started my timer late, so I didn't know exactly how far in we were.
Oh, we're 47 minutes in, so we're golden.
Oh, really? Damn.
We're golden. We're perfect.
Yeah, I was only 5 minutes off. All right, so it's that time then. Tommy is so quote of the week.
Peace. Is that how we exit now?
Peace. Who does that?
I have no idea who does that.
Fuck, that's such like a
someone who's really cool though.
Peace. Right? Oh, that's the guy who does the YouTube videos, Marquise Brownlee.
I feel like it's a lot of people. I feel like I feel like you're just thinking of one specific person, but that's a lot.
Dude, he does it the exact way Evan said it. 100%.
All right, the Tommy Wiseau quote of the week is peace. No, it's don't be cuckoo. Create a better tomorrow.
Perfect.
Beautiful. It is. In these trying times, I think it's perfect.
All right. See you fellas later.
Yep.